Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This is a beautiful week, a beautiful Shabbos. This week we start reading the Torah portion from the beginning, Parshas Bereshis. In Bereshis, it talks about creation. It talks about the story of the snake and Adam and Eve eating from the tree of knowledge. It also talks about the birth of Cain and Abel, and it also talks about the first murder of the Torah, Cain killing Abel. Now the Torah tells us that after Cain killed Abel, murdered Abel, God called out to Cain and he said, the voice of your brother's blood cries out from the earth. But who actually put Abel in the earth? The Torah doesn't tell us. The Medrash talks about it. It says like this, that Adam and Eve, the Medrash tells us, Adam and Eve were sitting in front of their slain son, Abel, the first dead in human history, and cried and mourned and did not know what to do with him. A raven flew by with a dead raven in its beak, landed right next to Adam and Eve, made a little hole, put the raven inside and took off. And they said at that moment they're going to bury Abel, and they buried Abel. So you may wonder, I don't understand. God already told Adam and Eve, from dust you go and dust you go back. They couldn't figure out what to do with the corpse, on Abel's corpse. Also, why did God send the raven to be the one to teach him? So the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave a beautiful insight, and he says like this. What was bothering Adam and Eve at that moment wasn't about what they do with their son. They knew what to do with the son, but they asked the question, how could they move on? Their child was murdered. What kind of world are we coming into? What kind of world is this going to be? Do we want to continue going through such pain and suffering? When there is murder and death in that type of fashion? When there's such anger? How can we move forward in such presence, such darkness and hopelessness? They sat and wept and did not know how to move forward. That's a question that Jews asked who went through the Holocaust, and it's a question many of us ask when we go through challenges and tragedies. How do we move on? Why should we move on? To where are we going to move on? So then God sent the raven. The raven is known as a very vicious bird, unkind bird, a selfish bird, a bird that doesn't even care about its own children. And then, what happened? Here, Adam saw even this raven that is selfish and is known as cruel could have a moment of kindness and caring and bury its dead. This was comforting message to Adam and Eve of how they can move on from there. The only response to insane evil is insane good. The only reaction to baseless hatred is baseless love. When observing such cruelty, it is common to surrender to anger and helplessness. That is a normal emotion. But there's a far deeper response, and it's much better for the soul and the world. When you see cruelty of such a grand nature, create goodness of a grand nature. Anything less will never fill the void and heal the pain. And this is something that we always say, you got to balance the scale. Balance the scale means as you see so much negative on one side, you got to put that much more and even more on positive. And you must say the Lubavitcher Rebbe lived his life that way. You know, he grew up under communism, then he got stuck under Nazism, eventually came to America. The Rebbe lived through a time in history, forget the coronavirus, where millions and millions of people were murdered just because they were Jewish, or just because they didn't believe in communism or Nazism. They were murdered, raped, tortured, children. So the Rebbe could have said, forget this world. This world is a disaster. This world has this real cruelty. Let's not build a world. The Rebbe said these machines in Germany, in Europe, and in Russia were there to destroy. We got to build bigger machines to give love and to care. It was irrational evil. We got to do irrational love. Someone that may have done so much pain, you got to do so much more love instead. For example, today when you see so much anti-Semitism, we have a responsibility to show even more love to another Jew. You know, just this week, the oldest man in Israel, and it could be the oldest man in the world, passed away. He was 117 years old. His name was Shlomo Sulaiman, a Yemenite Torah-observant Jew. Had a long Yemenite payas and side locks, and a handsome snow-white beard. He was living on his own, obviously. At that time, he didn't have a wife, and even his kids passed away. His mind was clear until the very end. His wife passed away just a few years ago. He went to shul every single day, and he was considered an expert in Jewish law. What was the secret of his longevity? His grandson said, listen to this, you guys want to live long? He loved life. Anyone who ever debated him, he always responded with kindness, common sense, and a sweet demeanor. The whole community loved him. He ate a little and was highly active till his last days. In the morning he ate bread and lebanon, in the afternoon fish or chicken with rice, in the evening a salad and egg, and he walked by foot miles each day. And this is what his grandson said. Until the pandemic, he would go to synagogue even at the age of 116. He was a very modest man, which is why everyone loved him. But I guess the isolation at home contributed to his health deterioration, and the grandson shared that he felt what the greatest thing is, he had a tremendous love for people no matter what. And I think this message is so loud and clear for us. Everyone goes through challenges and questions and angers and worries and things that don't make sense. We have to do the opposite. The way we combat it, the way we feel stronger, the way we feel in control, is combat that with goodness and kindness and love and dedication the other way around. Then you don't feel like you're a victim. Then you feel like you're a messenger. Then you feel like you're in charge. Then you feel like you're a creator. Then you feel like you're an angel. Those are the things that Adam and Eve didn't know. And those are the things that they learned from the raven. Shabbat Shalom.